welcome to episode 20 of Floating Through Film. I am your host, Blake. This week, we are going to be discussing and finishing our early Studio Ghibli series with Whisper of the Heart and Princess Mononoke. But before we get into Whisper of the Heart, I'm going to introduce my co-hosts, Danny.
Hello.
And Luke.
Hi.
And before getting into the actual movie, this is our first movie that's not Takahata and Miyazaki, actually. The first and only one we'll be doing this in this early Studio Ghibli series.
Yeah. Well, this is the final episode of this.
This is the final episode, yeah. But did you guys enjoy that? Did you guys enjoy it first? Is all I'll say before I get into my spiel about the production.
Enjoy the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I rewatched it and I liked it more.
No, same here. I rewatched it. I liked it a lot more this time than I did. No, but I mean the sad part about this movie is, as most people know, the director did die 2 years later, whenever he was working on Princess Mononoke, or with Miyazaki on Princess Mononoke, he died, and of a brain aneurysm, I'm pretty sure, and he was only 47, and he died because of they contributed to overwork and stress, and because of that, Ghibli leading up to Whisper of the Heart released 8 movies in 7 years, which is crazy, and Kondō had been with Takahata and Miyazaki since he was 18. So he was working with them in the 70s and stuff, even.
Okay.
Whenever they were doing TV series in the 70s. He was still working
it makes
with them.
sense.
So he's been with them for a long time.
It's kind of related, but it just makes sense for the movie's sake that it just feels so much in their world already.
Yeah, no, it does for sure. No, it definitely feels like a Ghibli world. And it definitely is very sad because Kondō is the one that Miyazaki wanted to take over for him. Obviously, he's the only one that Miyazaki thought could make good movies. Basically, that wasn't him or Takahata.
Yeah.
Don't want to be too harsh, but basically,
because obviously they've known him for that long.
Yeah, they know him for that long. Yeah,
they obviously trusted him.
No, yeah, but that was one of the main reasons that Studio Ghibli changed the way their production methods, because they never released that many movies in that short of a time span again. Ever since then, I think most of their movies have been 2 years apart, or at least they've been maybe once a year. But they were only Miyazaki and Takahata's production definitely dipped a lot after Princess Mononoke. Especially Takahata, he only made 2 more movies.
Which is that's too little, honestly.
No, it is definitely too little. I'm so sad.
At the end of the day, I have to respect. Take your time if you need to. Kubrick was like that too. So.
A lot of great directors like that.
No, yeah. I mean, Tati only made 6 also.
Yeah.
His was more he couldn't get a money though.
Yeah. Tarkovsky made only 6. I think.
He made a little bit more, but
it's around that range though.
It's definitely less more than 6.
Not a lot though, yeah.
A lot. The greater point stands. There's a lot of directors like Takahata.
Yes. No, and so we can just go on ahead and get right into Whisper of the Heart. And honestly, I forgot that this movie was basically about chasing your dreams, and trying to I don't know, I literally forgot about that. I honestly thought I forgot the parts I remembered about this was her writing her book. And then the magical stuff happening, after that, which is literally the last 30 minutes of the movie, basically. So I forgot literally everything else that happened. So watching it this time, I was like, "Damn, dude! I really fucking love this movie." About it's literally just trying I think Miyazaki told basically reporters after he made this movie that was him and all of his middle-aged animators telling the younger generation don't give up on your dream, basically, or live your life without regrets, basically, because that's what this movie is basically about. Is just not giving up on your dreams and not living and trying to seize the moments that you have and to not live with the regret that most of us have whenever we get older. About these certain moments that could have passed us by, but in this movie they don't. So.
But it's kind of honest about it too, though. That's which I like.
Yeah,
we'll talk.
Sure.
I don't want to get to the ending right away, but the way it ends, it's not all the way she gets exactly what she wants. It just kind of starts her on that path, more of.
Yeah.
But, so let me put it this way: why did you like it more this time? Was it just because you remember all the lead up to that more magical moment?
Yeah, I guess it's partially that, and it's mostly I don't know. Maybe I've just grown since then, obviously, but I don't know. It's these stories about, or these movies about telling young people if you it's very much Only Yesterday, how we were kind of talking about beforehand about, or the dichotomy between the two of how in Only Yesterday the parents of Taiko are like telling her like you can't be an actress because it'd be like a hassle in the family. We'd have to like take you to do all this stuff. But in this movie, like her parent, like in Whisper of the Heart, her parents actually encourage her to like chase her passions. Like whenever she's basically breaking down from writing this novel that she's trying to write in 2 months, which is crazy, which is literally something only a kid would do basically, like trying to squeeze everything in just this 2 month period. Like they don't tell her to focus more on school. Yeah. They just say yes.
It's
just
the
finish
dad that really comes in.
Yeah. The dad definitely, he understands her,
and
then the mom
are getting
also.
Mad at her for sure.
The sister definitely got mad at her, but then the mom also understands also after the dad, because she's a lot like her too. Obviously, she's getting a master's degree. She's obviously a lot like her kid. She's chasing her dreams too.
She knows the feeling at least.
Yeah. I think that's what I really liked. I really liked it a lot more this time. Was it just connected more? I don't know.
It's just for me since I rewatched it and liked it more too. Really, I think this time I was just in a better mood, like for the story. I knew I knew what was gonna happen. Like I was more ready for it.
Yeah.
Because admittedly, I don't think this is really too much like a lot of Studio Ghibli movies. Obviously, there's some comparisons you can draw to it, but like a lot of it, like
you have to go.
It was different for
me.
That. It was different
expand
for me.
On that a little bit.
I mean, it's kind of just the way. I think for me the first time I looked at the poster, I looked at the the header and letterbox, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be like a full fantasy movie where she's like with a cat, running around or something.
Okay.
And then I get into it and it's like a more slower pace, childhood drama,
it's a slice of
innocence, yeah. And then they get to it in the final 30 minutes. I was like, okay, bit off-putting. I knew what to expect this time though. It's a lot of movies. You kind of have to. Sometimes when you go in first, you don't know what to expect, and it really just helps like knowing that more. A lot of times, for me at least.
Yeah. So what I thought you were gonna say is maybe it is a little like less magical than maybe some of the other ones. But that's the reason why I kind of hesitated with that was now that I think about. To me, it does feel like just another a Ghibli movie. Like if you had told me, maybe not. Honestly, if you had told me Takahata directed it, I wouldn't have been too surprised. If I never known.
I mean, if you told me Miyazaki directed, I wouldn't have been surprised. I mean, he wrote the movie, so.
Oh, he wrote it too.
Yeah, he wrote it.
That makes a lot of sense. Because to me, it feels a lot like Kiki's, especially just walking. Like the scenes with her walking around the city just by herself, like she's an adult, but then she's going to an old person's house to get some advice, like that feels like Kiki's, a lot of it.
No, yeah, I do get what Luke's saying though, because it definitely is it definitely has those moments of magic that you get in those other Miyazaki and Takahata movies, but it also doesn't look at the industrialization that Japan went through with this harsh gaze. It looks at with the wide-eyed hope that a human would actually have had back then.
It's not, honestly, it's more hopeful.
It's very hopeful about their future because it's set the same portion of Tokyo that Pompoko was set in. So it's an interesting juxtaposition kind of, it's just interesting looking at these two movies because they these are what released basically back to back. 2-year break, but it basically released back to back, and this one's more so definitely just looking at the industrialization of Japan, at least that it's looking at New Tokyo as beautiful,
Okay, I can see that.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't look at it that way. It was just more of a feeling, but
it was just more
makes
sense.
sense.
I see what you're saying though, because when I do that's what I'm saying. A lot of the scenes I think of her just walking around the town and stuff.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous shots, just like Kiki's.
Yeah.
I thought it more just from you're seeing just an independent girl just go around, just have little adventures almost.
Yeah.
And this one feels even more realistic than Kiki's, right? Which is more based on a girl that flies on a broom.
It's
it's given without because it doesn't go as much into the. It's not really in a magical world,
Yes,
almost.
And that's why I kind of wanted to. It reminded me of something you said a couple of weeks ago when you said Kiki's is their most relatable movie or relatable character. To me, honestly, she might be even more than Kiki.
Oh,
because
she's
basically Kiki without the magic.
Yeah.
It's just more of a normal girl. At least how I see
she's
it.
a normal middle schooler,
yes.
basically.
And for the most part, Kiki is too, except for she has some magical powers and stuff.
Yeah.
But this one is just she is normal the whole time, and her problems are normal. It's like middle school romance in a lot of ways.
Yes, big time.
Yeah, and
with all the things that come with it.
Literally, and it takes it. And that's what I love. it's it's lighthearted, but it takes them seriously too. It doesn't treat them just as dumb characters.
Oh no, yeah, they definitely aren't dumb. I don't think they're dumb at any point in this movie.
No.
I mean, there are like stupid kid things they do, obviously, like just romantic things they do.
Yeah.
Like asking to marry her at the very end.
See, that's what I wanted to talk about that very ending because it's kind of treated as like a hopeful end, a happy ending. And it's like that's a little weird though. Like
that's a little weird though.
But it is like you said, it's middle school romance. Like,
no, yeah, that's what I was.
It's a very idealistic movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is. Yeah.
It's before high school comes and crushes you down.
It's before you figure out that the world doesn't love you. And that's like you thought it did.
And maybe that's why it couldn't be Takahata, because Takahata would have to have a more bittersweet ending.
Yeah, like he just doesn't come back, or he says like I won't be back from Italy for like 20 years or some shit. Like. No, but like that's like another thing that I was saying. One reason why I like this movie so much is the chasing your dreams and grabbing your dreams part. Like, because both of them do that in this movie. Like, it's even not just like him choosing to go to Italy or her choosing to like forego school and write a novel. It's just even the moments of her like choosing to even just like go into his house and say hi and meet his grandpa and like do all this stuff like that. A lot of kids just wouldn't do. Like, especially nowadays where. Like I don't know, like we're very antisocial people. Like it definitely feels like Kondo and Miyazaki and all the animators there, like telling the younger generation like if you like are feeling a certain way, at least like try it. Basically, try it, do something if you want to do it. Basically.
Especially, and I like how it's represented in the movie when she figures that out finally. Like it's basically right after he decides to leave, kind of, and she's like, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do my own thing. Basically, I forget her exact quote, but it's basically like, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna start writing now. Yeah. And that's when her magical world really takes off on her own, right? Like, and I kind of like how quickly it happens. How quickly she realizes that after he leaves. Because I feel like we could have got like 3 scenes of her being sad and not knowing what's going on
for sure.
She finally realizes it. But
it's like
right away.
Her being a lovesick middle schooler.
And I really like how that's really represented at the very end when he finally. It's a nice scene when he comes back on his bike early, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's like trying to drag her up the hill, and she's like, "No, I'm gonna help."
I'm no man's burden.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's basically like, and honestly, this was made in the '90s, right?
Yeah, 95.
So, like, is obviously geared toward girls more than guys, and he's telling them like, you can chase your dreams too. It doesn't just have to be the guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right? No, it's so funny because she pushes him up the hill, and then like they get up the hill, and she's kind of just standing there panting. It's like, get on. And I was just like, she's gonna push your fat ass up this hill, like. No, but
it's a really nice ending.
No, it's a very nice ending, and I really love just how they represent Kiki whenever not Kiki, how they represent what's the name of this movie? I forget now. But how they represent. No, I am too. Whenever I
Kiki's
don't
so
like.
easy.
No, exactly. Kiki's just like two syllables.
I've seen Princess Mononoke 3 times. But I still can't.
Ashitaka and Son. I can remember that.
I can't remember
Shizuku.
Shizuku. There we go. No, because I love how they how like whenever she finishes her novel and takes it to the grandpa to read, she's like, I couldn't write down what I had in my head, but like it just wouldn't happen. Like the guy reads it, and he's like, he tells her like, if you keep on doing this, you'll polish the stone that's inside you, like that one that like the stone that he gives her,
And that's what I was trying to say in terms of it's more honest too at the same time, right? It's not just it's an amazing story and it sold 1 million copies right away.
Yeah,
it's like you still have to work at it, but obviously
it's a rough draft.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what he. I like
he
she didn't. I don't think she thought of it that way. She thought like this was the only thing that she could do.
Yeah.
And then whenever he told her like, no, you can keep on working on this and it'll be fantastic. Basically, like you'll be a shining star. Basically,
No, because one of my favorite little moments in the movie is right after that is when she comes home. And her mom, and she looks and she tells her mom like, I'm gonna start doing school normally now and everything. And she's like, are your trials over? And she's like, yeah, for now.
Yeah. No, I love that scene so much. No, the scenes with her family are so sweet because it is how a normal like how you think a normal family would be. Like obviously not everyone's family would be like this, but
it's kind of an idealistic movie, like you were saying.
It is definitely ideal. Like would be an ideal kind of family to live with. Like it not perfect, but like at least they all support you in what you're doing.
Exactly.
So.
I think I love how like he introduced them too. She like walks into the apartment and they're all reading and like she gets her book and she's reading like it's just hilarious. Like they're all so caught up in
they're also caught up in their own worlds.
Yeah.
Which they are, but
and that's a good way to put it because especially her, right? Like she's someone who loves reading books and loves the stories in books, right? And she's kind of like a hopeless romantic.
Oh, she definitely is,
right? Like,
but they both her and the guy both are because he was like she notices his name in the library cards and I'm just like, this is so dumb. Yeah. And then like he's like later on in the movie he's like, oh yeah, I noticed you reading a bunch of books in the library, so I just started reading everything I could so my name would be in there. And I'm like, oh my god, this is like such hopeless romantic shit. Like, oh my god. Like, what is it, Chaplin?
She has this idea in her head obviously the whole time, right?
I respect the effort though, honestly.
Oh, for sure. No, he was definitely he was trying hard.
He's grinding.
Oh my god. Before the days of Grindr, you used to be doing that.
Oh my god.
No, but so do you guys have any other thoughts on?
We should talk about. I mean, do you have any specific moments or like?
Well, I want to talk more about the story, like when it goes to the story. Okay. Like, I especially love when movies do this. Like it did in 2046. It kind of does this, where like the person in the real world writing a story, and then the movie goes to what's happening in the actual story. Mm-hmm. Man, it's just a beautiful scene. Like the animation, it just blew me away, and I love like when they first get into the story and like. He goes, like in the dream, it's like he says, like the stuff that's closer is smaller, while the stuff is
far away is close by, and what's close is far away.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And the way they make the world design in that moment is amazing.
Oh yes, it's amazing, dude.
And it honestly works better because the whole movie has been, like we've been saying, it's been more realistic, right? It's been on the ground the whole time, just like a not documentary, but it hasn't had any magical moments. And all of a sudden, just goes into this world,
shoots you in
just by almost surprise. Like I was surprised watching it. It was my first time, so
No, I just love that. I love that scene because it perfectly portrays how authors think. I think at least fantasy authors like she is. Like it perfectly portrays that.
Because do you remember when we talked about Mishima? I mentioned how Paul Schrader had said why it's hard to make a movie about writers is most of their best stuff is their writing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is one way to beat that in a movie is you try to show what they're writing right after they write it.
Yeah.
Like how they would in their head.
Yeah, right? How they would in their head,
that's something good about a film you can do. You can at least try to show it visually.
Yeah. No, and I that scene was those scenes in Whisper of the Heart.
Yes.
Amazing.
And I mean, it's just another great cat too. Another great cat in the Ghibli canon.
His fit goes crazy too.
It does.
Oh my goodness.
And I like how it's like the way his like eyes sparkle because the coin scratched it. I think he says or something.
Yeah, it was like a coin scratched or something. Yeah.
But no, the way she sees the sparkle too is cool too. I think like that's how she gets the idea probably.
No, yeah, because his story's so cute too. Well, I mean, like she never figured out about his actual story until after the store owner, the grandpa, read her story, and then it was the same thing. I could basically die. Separated from his true love.
We haven't even talked about the beginning that much. I like how the story starts with her chasing the cat.
Yes. Very obvious.
Like we were talking about it before, but just another Alice in the Wonderland.
Plus, that cat is adorable, dude. No. Such a dick. Loves messing with that dog, just sitting on the fence. No, we can also talk about we definitely at least need to mention the Concrete Road song.
Oh yes,
because that's another you've heard about the beginning of the episode, but that's another moment of just taking those little moments in life that you might not ever you might not think about taking those type of risks, but seeing in front of your crush, that's something that not a lot of people wouldn't do, but that's just another one of those scenes about not letting those moments pass you by, basically, and taking it. And it's a beautiful scene because
all the three old guys.
Yes, the three old guys come in and they start playing. No, that's whenever it all comes together. It's so great.
Yep. Honestly, that might be the best scene in the movie.
It's
at least one of them.
It's probably my favorite. So
there's a few great ones, but.
No, and the only stumbling part in this movie to me is the ending.
The ending?
It's just the ending with the marriage thing. I was like, whatever. Yeah. But then I forgot that. I was like, whatever. It's whatever.
Hey, you said Miyazaki wrote it, so it kind of makes sense. It's gotta have an abrupt ending.
Oh my god, this fucking guy. No, do you want to get into Princess Mononoke now, bitch?
I mean, you can. Do you have anything else to say?
I mean, honestly, I like the ending.
I love Whisper.
Yeah, I like the ending, honestly.
Okay,
it just kind of encapsulates, it kind of reminds you how young these people are.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely.
That's kind of what I like about it. It's just cute, funny,
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, Mononoke is going to be the exact opposite of this movie too.
Is that good or bad way?
No, I just
I don't know.
It looks like I'm hesitant to say anything on this part of the podcast.
We should just move on. We can move on.
Yeah, we can move on.
Before you guys are grill me or whatever, I'm just gonna say I like the movie. Okay? I think it's a good movie. So I just don't think I just don't think it's one of his best. That's it. I'd rather watch Totoro than this. And
well, I mean, yes, I agree.
There are a lot of different movies too.
Stop trying to win points for me just because you know I agree with that part.
Okay, what about Only Yesterday?
I like Only Yesterday more than Princess Mononoke too.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about the movie.
Yeah, we can talk about the movie.
Yeah.
So this is another one that was going to be Miyazaki's last movie. Because, like, this is whenever Kondo died during the production of Princess Mononoke. So, this is whenever Miyazaki was actually... Like, he did say he was going to retire after, I think, Kiki or Porco. I can't remember which one. But then this was the one that he was actually... Like, people were actually, like, seriously scared he was going to retire after this. Because, I mean, he took a 4-year break after Princess Mononoke. Because Spirited Away came out in 2001. So... And he was technically retired for those 4 years, you know. So, and then he made just one of the greatest. Yeah, one of the
like a Tom Brady
greatest ones. Yeah, literally, no. But this movie had been on the back burner for him for literally 20 years, basically. Like he had, like there are sketches that have been made into like a manga book of like his old sketches of what her first rough draft, basically, of Princess Mononoke, about like a girl like marrying a monster in the forest, basically. So it's definitely a different story, but like this has been on the barn burner for 20 years literally, and this is like, and it's what we said with Nausicaa kind of, where Nausicaa was basically kind of the front runner, the prototype, of like what would eventually be the perfected model in Princess Mononoke, which I do agree with people that Princess Mononoke is the perfected model for Nausicaa. I think they're a little different movies, but I at least get what people are saying in that.
Yeah.
But this is also the one that Studio Ghibli first used CGI for a lot of the backgrounds just to finish coloring them in and stuff like that. So like they're like, if you notice, like the running scenes aren't like drawn as like as good as they were in some of the other ones. It's because they're like CGI and stuff. But that's just something they
it still looks amazing.
Oh no, it's still no, all the main things are still hand drawn. It's just like they like a lot of the backgrounds and coloring were done just CGI just to fill it all in, so they could reduce the man work hours. Because that's a big thing that they did after after Kondo died.
I mean, and still like the shots of like when it shows over the forest, like over the cliffs and stuff, are just breathtaking.
Yes,
like oh my goodness. I mean, starting off with the world he creates in this movie is just ridiculous.
No,
like,
literally from like the opening scene starts off with I think it just starts off in the forest, you seeing the boar god basically. Because like
that's how it starts.
That's literally how it starts off.
The possessed team. I mean, possessed boar.
The possessed boar or whatever. Which that thing itself is. I think like this is. I think Toshio Suzuki worked out a deal with Disney, saying after Whisper of the Heart or something that they had to release their next movie in America first, or something like that. And Princess Mononoke was something like that. Was like released
before Japan.
Or it was something, or at least like alongside it, like a simultaneous release. Because he knew that if a movie was big in America, it'd be big in Japan too, because that's just how it always works. So they did release, or like, so they said this is where like the famous stories of like the Spirited Away starts and stuff like that, is because Miyazaki, they sent over Princess Mononoke, and Disney wasn't expecting. They were expecting My Neighbor Totoro, and they got Princess Mononoke instead.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness. So, they'd be watching it, and then they see some guy's
arms get shot off by an arrow, dude. I fucking love those scenes, dude. Well, even before that, they see the fucking pig just dissolve into which is a great scene, obviously. Like
that'd be creepy for a kid to watch.
Exactly. Like I was watching this movie, I was like, I don't remember there being this creepy the last time I watched it. But
honestly, the violence is just hilarious too.
I love the violence.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
It's just a dash of ultra violence, you know. Good old ultra violence, which literally is ultra violence because he's got a demon arm. So no, but so Danny, what don't you like about this movie?
I mean, really, the main thing is I just think it gets very too narrative, action heavy in the second, maybe the last third. Like, and I know it's a gorgeous. The way it's shot is gorgeous, and all the creatures are cool. It just, to me, it just gets less interesting when it just becomes all mainly about the action, you know. And to me, the movie just becomes more boring. It does. A lot of it just becomes because it's cool almost.
Stop! It's not because it's cool. I mean, it's that too, but
and it's beautiful too. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of it is gorgeous, but like. To me, it almost feels like overcrowded. I don't know the best way to describe it. That's how I feel watching it. Like
I can understand
we're going to a lot of different people.
I can understand that
the last battle. Yeah. Like we're watching, you know, like I would watch a whole movie just about the people that make the bellows and they're fighting from their own fortress, you know.
Yeah.
But then we have to keep going back and forth, almost between like 3 or 4 different things that are going on. just in one battle alone.
I kind of like that because I kind of like just the scale they're going on. Because it feels like their biggest scale.
I can respect that for sure. I can respect that for sure. Like this is his more, his more Kurosawa-like movie.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because obviously we've talked about this before that he liked him. So
yeah.
No, and I could see that.
That's definitely a valid criticism because especially if it's your first time watching, which this isn't your first time, but if it is your first time watching, like you would definitely get confused at who is the samurai and who is Lady Eboshi's people because like especially at the end, like they're together and you're like who is who, like who what, and then like you have the boars and the wolves, you have you have the
scout team that comes in at the very end,
you have the tree god, you have those boar scouts are creepy as hell. Also, that's another creepy part because that's another sad moment about like humans basically tricking animals. Into giving us their land. Basically.
No, because I remember because there's some great. Obviously, and my favorite thing about the movie is just the imagery. Maybe the story I don't like as much, but like, and one of my favorite things that I'll always think about is the close-ups that you get of the animals when they're talking to each other, like the huge of the leader of the wolf. I forget his name, but it's like her father.
The big wolf.
The big wolf. But when he's like talking to the apes at the beginning when they come because they want to eat the human,
God.
They kind of look like sloths almost.
They definitely look like.
I love after that scene when one of the wolves goes, "Can we eat his deer, whatever the buck?"
Yeah,
I don't know.
You get cool.
What the animal? Cool. Yeah. Can we eat him?
Can we eat him? No, it's just funny because like he saved her and then he falls off the horse and the first thing the wolf does is like pounce on his head and try to bite his head off. They're just like, stop it, God. No, because like.
Sorry, that's what I was gonna. Before I forget, what I liked about the boars though. Like you were saying, it is about how humans trick nature, right? It is kind of honest about that because one of the wolf. I don't know if you remember the scene at the end when the wolf, the head. I wish I remember his name, but the head wolf of the pack.
I think it's Mora, maybe. Okay, something like that. I'll look it up.
All right. But he's basically telling the girl she's like, why are they charging if they're just gonna be if it's an ambush, and they're like. That's basically what they are,
Yeah.
They're gonna do it no matter what, even if they know
they're a stubborn, proud race.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that could be taken as for humans too, for sure, because you'll have to mention at least a little bit about the historical aspects of it.
No, this is it's heavily influenced by Japanese folklore. Obviously, it definitely influenced by like European medieval, Irontown is obviously like a European type village. Like that's definitely not Japanese or anything. It's. I like it because it definitely is steeped a lot in Japanese mythology and folklore, but it's also just like kind of Miyazaki. It's kind of just not anywhere either because it's kind of just Miyazaki wanting to say like what happened between like nature and the industrialization process. Like when did this go wrong basically? Like that's kind of how I view this movie and like what Miyazaki's doing. Like I don't think this is just like it takes a lot from Japanese folklore and everything, but I think that this is not technically set in Japan or anything like that. It could be set anywhere because it's mostly I think it's just Miyazaki talking about like what went wrong, where did things go so wrong in the industrialization process that this is how this is how we ended up basically just literally killing things out of hate and not even thinking about how we can like live in harmony together basically.
I wish I can remember the quote. I'll try to find it, but he kind of gives us at least a little hint of why we can't do it at the end with the the kind of short guy that is taking the head, when they're still trying to run away no matter what with the head, and he says something like, "This is who humans are." We have. Do you know what I'm talking about though? When he tells them,
"This is who humans are."
He says something about like, "This is what we are as a race."
I don't remember that quote. I don't think. What part? When was that?
Oh, okay, the thirst to possess heaven and earth is what makes us human. He says that to them when he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And he's like, almost like the same reason why the boards are doing it. Like Miyazaki might have that kind of opinion of it. Like, this is what humans are. This is who humans are. We're like destroying nature, and we can't even stop ourselves. Like especially since. And one thing I really like about this movie though is how the humans can't even stop fighting each other, even when the animals are attacking. Like she has to worry about different attacks because he keeps saying, "Why don't the humans at least fight together? Come together first so you can fight the animals that are coming." And they can't even do that. Yeah.
I mean, and tying into the whole conflict in between our world, between humans and nature, there's a quote in this said by one of the, I forgot who it was. It was towards the beginning of the movie, where he says, "These days, there are angry ghosts all around us, dead from war, sickness, starvation, and nobody cares. So you say you're under a curse. So what? So what? So is the whole damn world."
So is the whole
yeah. No, because I remember that because that's when he's telling someone about his curse on his arm.
It was the guy at the when he initially they go into the cave.
When he notices the gold coin and everything.
Yeah, that guy.
It's the same. That would be the same.
The same guy.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same guy that has the same quote at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the spy master or whatever. That's what I call him. I feel like it's a spy master or something.
Basically, he's a spy. Yeah.
No, yeah, but like that's definitely like a main central theme of the whole movie, obviously. Yeah. But like it's also more so than just the negativity and the curses of the world and like humanity. Like it's definitely just Miyazaki kind of saying like you can still find love and happiness in this world. You just like it'll take like you have to like look for it, obviously, but like you can find that love and happiness in the world. Like that's kind of what this movie's about at the end of the day.
So that's what I was gonna, because this is kind of related to what I wanted to ask was, do you think this ending is a happy ending?
Yeah.
It kind of just ends almost like as a draw, you know, and like nothing gets resolved. But they're like, oh yeah, well, like you said, the love is still there. You know, they at least gain that love, like you're saying. But in terms of the world, like it doesn't get any better.
It's also new perspectives too, because I like whenever the forest god dies. I mean, yeah, like hopefully everything still grows the same, but like, because like whenever he dies, like everything, that's one of the most beautiful scenes of the movie. Whenever everything just turns green, because Miyazaki loved like his greens.
Well, I mean, does he die? The character, someone says, because remember they're like, oh, the deer god is dead though, so this isn't the same, and someone else says, that, no, the deer god was life itself, and that's why it came back to life. You know, so I mean,
so like, I mean, you never know, obviously. But like that's what one of the samurai said, or one of the not samurai. It was like the guy that broke his arm at the very beginning of the movie. Whenever they fell off the waterfall, like it was that guy. He was like, I didn't know the forest god made the berries bloom or like the flowers bloom or anything like that.
I mean, it should have been obvious if he's.
It should have been obvious. And Lady Eboshi also like towards like after she loses her arm at the end and sees what sees everything she causes. Fucking bitch. No, like I call her a fucking bitch, but it's like she's not, like, because like
she has her own interests.
She does. She has her own interests, and she's definitely. I think she's definitely kind of the version of at least like Japan's industrialization after World War II. Like she's definitely a face of that, or of just like industrialization in general, obviously.
And Miyazaki never treats her as just like the pure villain.
No, that's another thing that Miyazaki. That's what maybe Danny doesn't like this part either, but like that's what some people don't like about this is like Miyazaki doesn't like to have antagonists in his movies. You know?
I love people that have antagonists in movies.
Yeah, and like so this movie like he tries very hard for there not to be any antagonists, and there really aren't any antagonists in this movie. The closest that you could see are the samurai, probably, because you're just like these guys are just kind of being dicks, you know. Like they're just trying to get this guy's head for the emperor, and then also take over Irontown for the Iron. So like they're probably like the closest things to the actual villains. But like yes, like Eboshi, he goes out of his way to make you like her and her town at least, because definitely the town. You definitely like the town, and you love the women in the town because they're amazing. They're another great conglomeration of working women that Miyazaki has in his movies. So.
I mean, this one is the one where they're all working in the bellows, and he comes and helps and stuff.
Whenever he comes and helps is amazing, because like it's just like all the like subtle animations of them being embarrassed that he's there, like them covering themselves up tighter because they got like on those loose kimonos.
Yeah. And honestly, he also gained sympathy for Lady Eboshi by the lepers.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever the people are.
Yeah. No, so like cool. You don't. At least I don't fully hate Lady Eboshi. Like she definitely is a bitch because of what she does, but especially whenever towards the end, like you definitely get the feeling that she's just doing this to prove a point that she can. Like because that's also kind of what humans are like. Because like what's the story behind the Tower of Babel? You know, we wanted to build a tower to heaven just because we could. Just to prove we could. Like, that's basically what she's doing at the very end of this movie.
The quote I just said, the thirst to possess heaven and earth is what makes us human.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's literally,
I mean, honestly, that's a good way to look at this movie. It's like another Tower of Babel story almost, you know? With the humans and animals. Because and that's another thing about about this movie is the animals aren't perfect either.
No, they aren't.
You know?
They definitely aren't.
Like,
the boars, I love the scene when the boars are charging. She's like, I think it was San or something, said like, oh, we need to warn the boars, you know, it's a trap. but like I forgot who said it to back to her. It might have been one of the wolves, like where they said, "Oh, the boars don't care. Like even if you tell them, they're still too proud. You know,
they're gonna charge ahead anyway." Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of what this movie's about, right? Every group has their own kind of interests, and that's what makes this world really tough to live in.
Yeah.
You know? Like, because from a certain perspective, you do understand her view because she's actually being attacked by the Empire, right? Or the Emperor. Kind of wants her. She can tell the Emperor wants her property now that she's productive, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, her self-interest is to be as strong as possible in her area, which means getting rid of animals if she can.
Yeah.
Right. And you understand if her only goal is keep the humans in her area safe, then she might have to kill animals. You know, even from us watching it.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks.
It kind of sucks.
Like it's almost like Miyazaki saying it's too late. Like in some.
No,
points,
yeah, that definitely is
like
a reading
of
it. There definitely is a reading of it too. Like it might just be too late. So,
And watching that Kingdom of Dreams and Madness documentary, he definitely thinks that. At least
definitely now. He definitely does. Yeah. No, like this is definitely the most anime movie that like Ghibli made. Like if whenever you think anime, like this is definitely an anime movie. You know.
All right, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like big emotions.
Okay. Yeah.
Big action.
All right.
Like it's definitely their most anime movie, but like.
Do you think it's their biggest scale movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's their biggest scale. Spirited Away is a huge scale, but like
it's more of a
it's definitely
centralized story.
Yeah,
the story is definitely more down to earth, but
yeah, I mean we've gone through this whole part. We haven't even talked about Ashitaka at all, basically, and he's like the main character.
We didn't talk about San either, honestly.
Yeah, like not really. Like it's because they're definitely interesting parts.
This is not a character-based movie.
It's
though.
not.
Yeah,
You're just watching.
It's
the epic. It's the epic of it. You know?
Yeah, that's a good word.
You know, I think San's definitely an interesting character.
Oh, they're both interesting characters. Like they both are because like he's coming from a clan that's not allowed to leave their tribe, or else they can literally never see them again. You know, it's like, because they're that isolationist. Because that I think that part is definitely like Miyazaki talking about the ancient Japanese tribes that just the Japanese people kind of just killed off basically.
Yeah.
Like just the native tribes of Japan.
And in fact, like I thought it was interesting, whereas like when the girl, like, when he's leaving at the beginning of the movie, and the girl comes up to him and he's like, "You can't watch me leave. It's illegal." Yeah, that was interesting.
You can't watch me leave. It's illegal.
Like literally, like.
But like, it kind of, you saying what you just said a little earlier reminded me of that same theme in Pampoko of the foxes when the fox is describing all the foxes that couldn't survive.
Yeah.
You know, that's a similar theme, right? Like with the urbanization of the world. There's species of animals or certain humans or whatever that can't survive, right? With this rapidly growing world.
Yeah, not with the way they're doing it, at least.
Yeah. And
which is all Ashitaka is trying to say.
So, what do you think his role in the movie is? Like, whose side do you think he ends up on? Like, do you think
I think he's supposed to be us. Like, he definitely is supposed to be us. Like,
he's
we're
kind of
not
right in the
supposed.
middle, right?
Like, he doesn't have a side in this movie, obviously. No. Like ultimately he chooses, in air quotes, like Irontown because that's who he goes with. Like he doesn't go with San.
But he chooses them only because they're humans and he's human. Right?
Well, yeah, he chooses them because they're humans, he's human, and San will never live with them because she can't forget what they've done, obviously. Because I mean, like they've done fucked up shit this whole time, also, obviously. Like just think of the things like animals would like if animals could actually remember. And maybe they do. Who knows? Like, I don't think they do. But like, if animals could remember, like they can, like movies like this, like we would not. I don't think humans would have the capacity to do what we're doing to like the world. Really, like the only reason we're doing it is because we think of them as inferior species. And like that's one reason why I love like Studio Ghibli is because they elevate the animals to the same level as humans. Yes. Because that's how it should be. Like. Mm-hmm. Just because we're more evolved or like we have a conscience doesn't mean we're like higher on the totem pole than like every other creature in existence just because we have a conscience.
Yeah. No, and yes, that's like I really like that because it's a lot of people put humans above animals because of intelligence, right? Like or like you're saying, a certain level of consciousness. But at least in Ghibli's movies, it's not the intelligence or the level of consciousness they have. It's just that they're alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Ghibli movies are a celebration of life at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Even in a world that is, evil. Maybe not even evil in some cases, just negative for humans.
Yeah. Just messed up.
Just messed up for nature, but they still celebrate life, right? So it doesn't matter about the intelligence as much, like you're saying, which is why they're able to bring even animals up to the level of humans. It doesn't feel weird in the world.
No, yeah, it definitely doesn't feel weird.
And that's from Nausicaa with I still think of the just how great she is with all the animals, even though the humans don't like that. Just carrying that all over to Princess Mononoke,
Yep.
Same themes.
Literally, yes, literally the same themes. No, I mean, do you guys have any finishing thoughts on Princess Mononoke? Anything you want to get out there?
All the animation with the deer god is so beautiful.
Oh, it is.
Oh my goodness! Like when he walks, and like the flowers bloom where he walks, and then when he steps off, it dies. Like amazing. And the shot where Ashtika he first gets to take him to the lake, and I don't know if it was when he was injured or if he was not injured, but when the deer god walks by and he turns and looks at him and has like the light and stuff in that scene.
That's whenever he's injured already.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, and just
like that scene whenever he's walking across the water and just at least something terrible is gonna happen, obviously, and then he just gets shot in the fucking head, and then that scene itself is just like really because then he just starts slowly sinking beneath the water and you're like, oh wow, he's actually dead, and then he starts walking again. And she's like, it takes more than one shot to kill a god.
She has a cool first line too. Is like, watch, this is how you kill a god.
Yeah.
Once she shoots the first time, I'm like, okay, that's kind of badass. I'm not gonna lie.
No, she's definitely a badass.
Okay. And she gets a war wound. She gets a war wound too, a lost arm.
Yeah, just like the girl in Nausicaa.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a few people losing arms in this movie.
And maybe an interesting theory between the two. Like,
she's the same. No.
There's very similar type, at least somewhat similar characters.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, this is why people say this. He perfected the formula.
Okay.
In Princess Mononoke, and I would agree with that. I still love Nausicaa, but you don't have anything that you want to throw in there, Danny? Any other last words on Princess Mononoke?
Any other disses?
Any other disses?
I don't think I've dissed it once.
You haven't dissed it.
I don't think so. No. It's. I mean, okay. The way I would put it is, if my favorite movies of so far that we've watched, kind of just to wrap up early Ghibli.
Yeah, we can say our favorite ones that we've watched so far for sure.
Because I mean, we'll have to do a big closing when we do part
we
two.
will, yeah.
Part two, but at least my favorites so far have been, My Neighbor Totoro and Only Yesterday and Kiki. So those are probably my top three. And you can tell, like, if those are my top three, those are my top three Ghibli movies, this is like the opposite of those in some ways.
It is,
and just the type of story it is.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just by default, it's going to be one of my least favorite Ghibli movies I've watched because... And now that I'm thinking about it, Nausicaa was my other least favorite too, and so that the fact that those are so similarly related, it's more like just a flavor kind of thing for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I like more simpler, just calmer movies in general, especially in animation because we don't get it that much in animation, so it kind of just feels more special when we get it in animation. But like you were saying, this is more of an anime movie, right?
Yeah, no.
And so there are a lot of anime action movies.
This is most anime movie for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that we can get.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a lot of Only Yesterdays that exist.
No, there's only one Only Yesterday. There's two Grave of the Fireflies because the other one's in this corner of the world, but no.
So what about you? I mean, or Luke? We should say Blake for last.
So top three.
Yeah, you can do your top three.
Okay, so number 3 would probably be Kiki's Delivery Service that I've seen. All of these are actually rewatches. Number 2, My Neighbor Totoro, and then number 1, Princess Mononoke, which my favorite Ghibli movie and probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Honestly.
Okay. No, I knew that already.
Yeah, you guys do.
No, Princess Mononoke is fantastic. I agree.
God, it's so good.
No.
It's kind of a movie that like I watched Spirited Away before it. I was like, okay, Studio Ghibli's amazing. But this one's like, okay, they're special. That's why when I watched Princess Mononoke, like for the first time.
And the scale is pretty incredible too.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I mean, just like having literally, like you said, I mean, it's one of the problems, but having 6 or 7 factions that you have to follow around the entire movie is like kind of crazy in an anime movie. So, or just any movie in general, but any 2-hour movie. But no, I mean, my top 3, at least of these that we've watched, has definitely changed from my first watch. I mean, not my number 1, but my number 2 and number 3 have definitely changed. Like number 3, I'd probably do Whisper of the Heart, which was a huge change because like Whisper of the Heart and Pompoco have been like 2 that like jumped up huge in my personal ranks after rewatching because I just love them so much more this time. They're like I don't know why those two are the ones, but my number 1's My Neighbor Totoro, and then my number 2 is probably. Do I want to say Princess Mononoke?
Yes, you do.
Only Yesterday.
Yeah, it's probably Only Yesterday.
Wow.
I mean, so why don't you just bump Whisper of the Heart then? If you're thinking, because you were thinking.
No, Whisper of the Heart's better than Princess Mononoke.
Oh, okay.
I think I like it more. I don't know if it's better, but I like it more. Like that's like whenever I think of my rankings, like I go by rewatches, and like these are the ones I've rewatched the most of the ones we've watched so far.
And honestly, I kind of have to put like Whisper of the Heart and Kiki's on the same level. Like it's tough for me.
I like Whisper of the Heart slightly more because I like the realistic moment, or I just like the realism more. I like the message that they're getting at in Whisper of the Heart a lot.
That's fair.
I like the message of Kiki's too, but I just love the message of Whisper of the Heart. Yeah. No, but I mean this is a great first part of what Early Ghibli part 1, part 1 of Ghibli that we did. We'll get to part or like later Ghibli. I don't know. Hopefully in a year. Hopefully within the year.
Yeah, I think so.
We definitely probably will because once I start watching Ghibli movies, I don't want to stop honestly. So. And then maybe we'll have some filler episodes of these ones that we're gonna miss of the
I'm gonna have to hold off.
Non-great ones.
Try my best to hold off on watching The Wind Rises until then, because I still haven't watched it, and like I want to watch it, but I kind of want to save it, but I don't know if I want to save it. So
I don't know if I want. I mean, honestly, if you want to watch it, just watch it because that movie's amazing.
It's a great.
It's one of my favorites.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like every movie I say from Studio Ghibli is like one of my favorites, but I mean they at least early Studio Ghibli is like literally only bangers basically. So
honestly, I have realized that because
they start falling off later, but
yeah, no, most of these movies were really great to watch.
But even later, I
would recommend basically all of them.
Oh
Almost.
yeah, no, I would definitely recommend all of them. Grave of the Fireflies at least once.
Probably
not
tough,
again. Probably not again. But
that's it.
No, so I guess we can go ahead and introduce next week. So next week we're gonna do another one of our break episodes where we'll probably just talk about Jordan Peele. I think we're gonna do Get Out and Us and Nope. We'll probably do all three. Spend most of the time on Nope probably, but a lot like our Eggers episode if you listen to that one. But so
be fun.
Yeah, until next time, I hope to see you floating through the clouds.